Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. And in this video, we will go over making layers, new layer, not folders, but just creating new layers when you draw. So it's going to be a fairly quick video. The composition is going to be a basic tree, and so let's get right to it. So to my far right over here, and it all depends on what digital program you're using, and then how you prefer your layout. Typically layers are usually on this right side corner, but every artist have their own unique workflow. So wherever your layer default location is, or your desired location, that's up to you. But here on my Clip Studio Paint, my layers are off to the right. So what I like to do, unless I am doing a basic sketch, I'll just have one layer. But I typically name my layers. I've seen the work process of other illustrative artists, and they'll have like 20, 30 different layers, and they're not labeled. And and I think if you get to a point where you are working on a piece and just organically you will just know, okay, the tree layer is here, the leaves layer is here, this color layer, and there's a little thumbnail where that you can recognize. I was very raised structurally, so I like to have labels and things organized. So here where it says layer 1, I'll double click on that, and I'm going to name that layer sketch, because that's going to be a sketch layer. And what I like to do, so that way it helps my workflow, I'll create several more layers, because I have a general idea as far as how many layers I want to initially create for the composition. So I'm going to go ahead. You can't see it because of course I'm drawing directly through my display, but I'm using my quick remote, and I'm going to create a few more layers. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's enough. I'll create one more, and then I'm going to name the very top layer, layer 4, as ink. It's going to be an ink layer, and then layer 2 will be, say, branches. Actually, that doesn't really make any sense for that to be branches, but anyway, on layer 2 I would say background, and that's going to be basically the soil, any type of foliage and stuff like that. So I'm going to start off with sketch. And so that's, so right here I have my sketch, branches, background, a random layer 3, and then my ink layer. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 active layers that I'm going to use. I have it laid out. I know what layers I need to engage with. And the biggest thing would just be making sure that you keep close attention to when you are starting to do your work. And so that way you're not drawing on a branch layer when it's supposed to just be your sketch layer. And that's happened to me several times. And honestly, if it's not too far gone, you can just simply duplicate the layer, copy it, merge it with another layer. So let's just say, and I'll show you what I mean about that. So this right here is my sketch, and I, for whatever reason, I went to background. I thought that I clicked on that background, so that way I can draw the foliage that I want for my background, anything in the far off distance. But let's just say I did all of that, but I was intending for that to still be a part of the sketch. And so I'm like, oh man, now that's not a part of the sketch. That's the only sketch. So all I simply need to do is click onto my background layer, and whatever, again, action key, if you're using mouse pad or your stylus, I right click, and then I will click here, duplicate layer. So I do that, and so now I have 2 layers. So now I can take the background copy layer, drag that below my sketch layer, click on my sketch layer as the major selected layer, and then sub-click the copy layer below that, and now go back on top of the sketch layer, right click on that, go down to where it says merge selected layers, and again, your language of your program may be different. It may just say merge layers or combine layers, but you just want to find that option where you can combine both selected layers, or how many, if it's like 3 layers that you want to combine into one. And so I'm going to hit merge select layers, and so now I can go back. I can select my original background layer and select the image that I was composing, delete those, and go back to my sketch layer, and now everything is back on the sketch layer. So, and that's a great thing of, just making multiple layers, so that way if you make a mistake, you have an easy way out to correct that error. Because if it's all just on one layer, then it would mean, you have to erase what you've done, or make the compromise of having to create a second layer and restructuring your whole composition. So that's why I like having a layer for certain aspects, particularly when it comes to coloring. So not so much the line work, unless there are several different elements in the composition, but especially for coloring, I like to create several layers for that. So there you go. So I'm going back to my sketch layer, and sort of typical tree here, and I can go ahead and just bring this down. There we go. So we can have some branches, not branches, leaves. Come on, Michelle. What are those, branches? No. So you get the point, because this video is not so much about the composition, but more so about the creating layers. So I have a sketch here. Bam. So this is my sketch layer, and so I'm going to go to background, and then let's just say I wanted to put something in the background like a bench, and then this too is just a great way of creating, even when it's just doing your line work, creating a separate layer, so that way if I'm not getting the angle or the proportions just right, I can just simply erase and not worry about interacting with my sketch in the background. So it's a good benefit right there, but I'm gonna leave that there. Go here, there we go. So background, and then so here you have the tree, have the background, and now I can go to my ink layer, and I can highlight my sketch layer and background layer, drop the opacity, and then go to my ink layer and start to ink. And so just practice with that. And again, it all depends on your workflow, your drawing, creating personality. If you're one where you want to be more organic, because if you were drawing traditionally, you wouldn't have layers, I mean, you would draw with the automatic mindset of, hey, I'm going to layer each composition. So I got to work on the background first, work on my foreground, my background, and then anything that's supposed to be in the foreground and the midground and all that stuff traditionally. But if you're going to work digitally, just use the benefits that you get working traditionally to make your workflow that much easier and more efficient as well, and forgiving. So I'm not gonna really finish this. This is really more so about creating layers. And so now the ink layer. If you hear my kids, they just got home. So now the ink layer is the main layer. Let's just say you wanted to, for the background, you wanted that to be on a separate ink layer as well. Well, then you can create another layer. Bam. And then name that ink 2, whatever, or ink background. I'm just going to go with ink 2. And then now that's going to be the background that I'm going to sketch. Ink. And then that way, if you make an error with your final line work with your inks, you can simply correct it. Or if you overlap, say, like something like this with your tree composition, hey, there you go. You can erase it and not worry about having to carefully erase around your other constructed line work. So this is the benefits of creating layers for your composition. Just will make life so much easier for you as you draw and create whether it's your comic scene or just an illustration. Having multiple layers like this in the creation line work process is helpful as well. And then when you get into coloring, that's when you will take it to a whole nother level. So thanks so much for watching. I will do and I'll keep this same, I'll just finish up the line work on this so that when we get to coloring, we can go through creating layers for coloring your illustration line work. So thanks so much for listening. If you have any suggestions or comments or what you would like to see next, please be sure to leave those in the comment section down below. Be sure to like and subscribe. That'll be greatly appreciated. You can also follow me on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Michelot Comics. You can also go to my website, which is michelotlulley.com. And if you want to support and is able to, you can support me and what I do on my Patreon page, which is patreon.com/Michelot Lulley. That was a lot. So again, thanks so much for watching. Have a great afternoon, evening, night, morning. Till next time. Grace and peace.